Hi everyone, it's Sam from Sitemate. Plant and equipment request forms, sometimes called requisitions, are used to control the plant hire process with approval steps to keep track of what's being hired, who's hiring it, what type of works is it for, and for how long will the piece of plant or equipment be on site. So in this video, we're going to look at how you can standardize, streamline, and track all of your plant and equipment requests using a Dashpivot workflow to ensure that a process is followed and plant is off-hired as required on time to save the project time and money. So you can see that this particular equipment request form has been set up as a workflow in Dashpivot, which means that if I was to click this green button over here and add a new request and fill out that form, if I don't sign it off, it'll initially sit in this first column, but as I sign it off, it's going to move from this first column to the second, to the third, and so on until ultimately the piece of equipment has been off-hired again. So I'm going to show you how that works. The first step is to click this Add Request Form button, this green button on the right, and you see that we've got a template set up. So I'm going to start to fill out some of these fields as required. So we've got some fields for the requester, the work location, the equipment required. Maybe we're doing some bulk earthworks. We can punch in the hire dates and the off-hire date. And then I guess we'll progress throughout the form, but you'll notice that we've got a series of signatures, and each of them says that it's going to, if we sign here, it's going to move it to the very next column. So before I click on this signature, I just want to show you that if I save this form without signing it, it's going to appear in this very first column. But of course, we need to move it through our workflow, which we've set up. And the way that that works is by clicking this particular signature, which we term an approval signature. And what that's going to do is it's going to stamp our signature on there with the time and date. It's going to lock all of the fields above, so we can no longer change these text fields and date fields that we had set up. And it's going to unlock the next signature. So you'll notice that before it was disabled and now it's enabled. The third signature on here is currently disabled, but if I was to sign this, it would enable that last signature. So once I'm happy with that, I'm going to click Save, and you'll see that it's now moved from this first column across to the second column. And what's really neat about Dashpivot is that we're able to set up what we call workflow notifications. So it's possible to, using these icons up here, we can select from the people who have access to our team who we would like to receive a notification every time one of our equipment request forms is created and moves across to this second column. So in this case, maybe Nick is the project manager, and he's the one who will be reviewing and approving all of the requests that come through. So we can select Nick's name there, and the icon will turn blue, which means that someone is going to receive a notification, and we can click on it to see that, all right, Nick is the one who's going to receive an email every time a form moves to this column. He can click on the link in that email and open this form up. Open it up, scroll down. Nick will then be able to sign. It'll stamp his signature, and once he saves it, it'll move from the second column to the third column, and so on and so forth. Something that's really handy, I suppose, about equipment request forms and tracking those in Dashpivot is that sometimes the supplier may require a copy of the approved requisition. That's really easy to do with Dashpivot. You can just open up the requisition or request form that you've filled out, and then we've got a button at the top that says Send PDF. So we can click that button, type in the email address of your supplier, and hit Send Email. What that will do is send them a PDF version of this form, so it saves you having to click Download, attach it to an email, write a summary, and send it through. It can all be done from inside of Dashpivot. So that's a really handy feature there. And over time, I guess you'll end up with something that looks a little more like this, where you'll have multiple request forms that have been filled out. The workflow is really handy here because it makes it really easy to see where each of these request forms is up to. So we can see that there's one request form that's been created, but that hasn't been fully requested just yet. And we have 3 items of plant here. We've got a crane, an excavator, and a piling rig currently on hire. And we can also see in this final column that this vac truck has been off-hired. So it makes it really easy to view that information. Over time, over the course of a project, you might have more than 5 plant request forms. So this is where the register view comes in handy. So if I click on this register button, it converts all of the field inputs on the form into columns, which is what you see here. And we can rearrange these columns if we want by clicking this Edit Columns button. But essentially, you end up with something that looks more similar to something like Excel, where you've got all of the information stored in a register format. And what's really handy is that we can start to apply some filters. So if we want to look at all of the items of plant that have been requested for Zone 3, for example, we can click this filter button, filter for Zone 3, apply filter, and it returns us the results that we need. So that's really handy. And then from here, we can look at what is the expected off-hire date of each of these pieces of plant, and we can compare that to whatever today's date is, and very quickly identify any items which may be overdue, which might be costing the project money. And from here, in the register view, if we need to export this into Excel for whatever reason, if we make a selection over here, the export options appear at the top. So we can click the export to CSV if we want to open it in Excel. We can export this register as a PDF if we need to. And of course, we can download the individual request forms as PDFs as well. So if you'd like to get started with an equipment request form inside of Dashpivot, when you go to your templates section and click Add New Template, if you click on the Choose from Free Public Template Library option, we do have a plant request workflow available that's ready to go out of the box, so you can run a search, find that template and add it to your team to get started straight away. Of course, you can always make any tweaks and adjustments to any of the templates which you find in Dashpivot. If you're looking for help on how to get started with workflows or any other templates, we do have a help center, so we can click this button up here and open up all of our articles which cover every aspect of Dashpivot. A lot of them have videos and pictures walking through all of the steps. But if you can't find what you're looking for, we've always got the live chat down here as well. So you can send us a message and we'll do our best to get back to you as soon as we can. And that's how you can standardize and streamline your plant request or requisition processes using Dashpivot. I hope that this has been useful, and thanks for watching.